Welcome to episode 225 of, I usually say, the Self-Growth Nerds podcast, but today I'm introducing you to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast, created and hosted by one of my very close friends, Allison Boyle. She invited me on to dive deep into two topics, love and hiking. More specifically, my breakup after 7 years with my last partner, dating at 33 years old, how I met the love of my life, and our recent 12-day thru-hike of the Lofoten Islands in the north of Norway. If you enjoy our conversation, go and explore her library. She has now up to 60 episodes on all kinds of outdoor-related topics. Okay, let's do this.
You're listening to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. I'm Allison Boyle, aka She Dreams of Alpine, and this is the show that's dedicated to all the adventurous spirits out there who have either been transformed by the outdoors or are interested in what it looks like to step into a new, adventurous, and courageous kind of identity in their life. It doesn't matter what your background is in the outdoors, what age you're starting at, or where you grew up. If you're curious about the outdoors and using adventure as a way to reinvent yourself, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing all kinds of personal adventure stories, lessons I've learned from the mountains, teaching what I know about the outdoors and leadership, and interviewing some amazing adventurous women all along the way. I've been coaching women on becoming safe, confident, and self-sufficient backpackers and leaders of their own adventurous lives since 2018, and I know exactly what big fears and self-doubts can pop up along the way. I have so much to share with you, so let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today I actually have a returning guest with me. She's a popular one. You guys always tell me that you love when we have conversations and we're spitballing and you get to hear from her at her summits. She was on episode 7 of our Adventurous Reinvention podcast to talk about her thru-hike of the PCT. That's the Pacific Crest Trail. When she was basically brand new to backpacking was when she did the PCT. And now she's back to talk about completing her Lofoten crossing. I think it's called the Long Crossing thru-hike. It's a roughly 100-mile trail that is located in Norway. So I want to give a big welcome to my very good friend, Marie-Pier. Marie, hi.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so we're so stoked. I'm always stoked to have Marie back. And I knew about this trip coming up, and I was catching up with her the other day, and I was like, I need to have you on the podcast to talk about this because I know people in my world will be interested in this. And hearing about the Lofoten thru-hike, I think international thru-hikes are quite interesting too, because you get to combine like two really fun things. But first, kind of like to back up, you went with your partner, so this isn't something that Marie did solo. And this is actually her new partner. She's in a new relationship. And we're going to talk in detail about this new relationship, the breakup that Marie went through to kind of get to this point and have this adventurous partner that she went on this trip with. We'll also talk about the monumental Nordic thru-hike, the inspiration to go on it, all the things through it, and all the things. But first, maybe really quick, Marie, can you reintroduce yourself, your background, the work you do as a CEO of Self-Growth Nerds? Give us the spiel if people haven't heard of you before.
Sure, yes. Okay, so everything changed after my thru-hike of the Pacific Crest Trail because before that I was a designer and illustrator. And then when I came back, I was like, wow, I can't believe I was able to do this. And I was really obsessed with helping others trust themselves enough to go after what they wanted. So I first started out with, created my business, helping people prepare for a thru-hike. And that's when we met because you were basically like a competitor of mine. But
I never saw it that way, but we were in the same sphere. Yes.
I never did either, but my sister showed me, I think I told the
I
story.
do remember this
One.
story, yes.
Yeah. My sister showed me an ad and she was like, look, this is your competitor. And I was like, she seems nice. We started chatting and became friends. But then eventually just started helping, went to train as a coach and started helping my clients with not just through hikes, but like changing career, leaving marriages, starting businesses. And now I help my clients with just being courageous enough to create the life they most want to live. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, you've done like a lot of really cool programs in your past. Like I know you might not be running these versions of the program, but they're all some version of like brave and bold, like courage to start new, like
Yes.
taking big leaps of faith, basically, or
Hmm.
like being more aligned with your truest self. So I've kind of always loved that you've evolved into that because that's basically what your story is too, and my story a little bit as
Your
well.
story too. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So if you want to like listen even more to like kind of about Marie, that beginning story, all of those things, you can go back to episode 7 because we definitely did a full debrief there. We also did like a full debrief back in that episode of how we even met. Like Marie hinted at, she was originally working in the through hiking space at the end of her through hike. And I remember she invited me to a summit she was going to put on, but then I don't think you ended up not doing it because you pivoted. You made a
Hmm.
pivot in your business. But that kind of made us blossom into like a slow friendship. Eventually we met in real life in Arizona, risked it all, meeting somebody from the internet like that we had never met before. Because Marie is based in Montreal. So, we're not even like in the same country technically. But we got
Very annoying. Very annoying. In
it is
fact.
really annoying actually. I do not see her nearly enough. But it worked out, so sometimes internet friends end up being great friends. And we even did a course together. We try to meet once a year. I don't know, we don't have anything on the calendar this year, but so far we've done once a year for like a few years at least.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyways, you can go back to episode 7 for kind of that full story if you're interested to learn
The
more. And
origin.
it's a great episode anyways, because it goes all into Marie's story about the PCT and everything involved with that as well. So let's talk about kind of your new relationship and kind of like what led you there first, because I think that's like an important part of this whole Lofoten through hike backstory. It was like a little over a year or two ago that you had a breakup with your
Two and a
first
half years ago.
Two and a
Yeah.
half. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, I think it was longer than a year ago that you were pretty open about it on your podcast and social media. This is a partner that when I met you, you were with him and you were with him when you did the PCT. And I find like the reason why I want to bring this topic up is, me and my team, we've noticed like a lot of our clients and a lot of women in our programs are either going through breakups or going through divorces or considering leaving relationships that are no longer aligned. Maybe you can give us a little background around your breakup and kind of what led you to some of those decisions for yourself because it's quite unique.
Yes, 100%. So I was with this person for 7 years. We were in a monogamous relationship. We lived together. We got on really well. And I just had a little whisper that told me this is not the person for you.
Yeah.
But I ignored that whisper for a long time because there was no real reason to leave. He was a really good person. He would have been a really good dad.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel like it was legitimate for me to want to break up. And
Yeah.
yet this whisper kept getting louder and louder and louder. Um, and if there's one thing I learned, is that the whisper's not going away. I was spending so much energy trying to convince myself that I should stay because I didn't want to make anyone upset. But at the end of the day, I had to realize that um, he deserved to be with someone who wanted to be with him 100%.
Right.
And I decided to trust my intuition and to leave. It was really hard. The hardest decision I've made in my life.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember that time too.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it took a lot of courage. And because you're stepping into the void, you don't know like what I want in a partner. Is it too good to be true, or is it actually
Right.
going to be possible, right?
Yeah. I do remember that. Like like many people on this podcast know, I went through a divorce at a young age, for my first relationship and like marriage. And I remember that moment too. Like a big part hesitation in me leaving was but the brain loves to like give you all these wild ideas, like you won't be able to find anyone else, or like it won't get better than this, or like you're making a big mistake. It's all these regret thoughts, I guess. You
Hmm.
start like doomsdaying yourself, even though your body is kind of like, this is the right decision for me. It sounds like you kind of went through some of that yourself as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I read a quote somewhere that said, "The truth is inconvenient."
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, this is very inconvenient, but it feels like the true path for me.
Did you
And
feel like you knew what you wanted and that's what it was? Like, I remember for me, clearly, it's just like I knew what I wanted and that relationship was no longer aligning with it, but it was hard to kind of like disconnect the two, I guess.
there was a big turning point one day when I was still with my partner and I was really angry about some random thing, and I sat down with my journal and I
Yeah.
I made like a an angry list of sentences that started with "I want this, I want that, I want
Mm.
this." And then I
Yeah.
looked at like it was 2 pages and I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want and it's not what I have currently.
Mm.
I have grown so much in the last 10 years, and I wanted to be with someone who also takes responsibility for their growth. I
Yeah.
wanted to be with someone who's emotionally intelligent, who is open about their feelings, who wants to have deep conversations. And
Yeah.
that was not the case. And I decided, a friend of mine told me, this is really important to you, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
legitimate for you to want those things. And that gave me like the boost I needed to know what I want and to be validated
Yeah.
that it was okay to want that gave me the boost I needed to step away.
That's interesting. Yeah. Like I think there's always like a moment. I always talk to my clients, especially our clients in our Adventurous Reinvention experience, because sometimes that is something that they're navigating when they join that program. Not always, like people come to that program for a lot of different things, but we talk about this phase and I call it being in limbo. Like when you're kind of in between two choices, but never fully going all in on one. Because like on the one hand is this one, maybe like when it in regards to relationships, it's like the safe known thing that you've been with for a while. It's quite comfortable. You know exactly how it plays out because you've been living it for like a long time. And it's very comfortable and ultimately it feels pretty safe. So it's hard to like sometimes leave that, especially like in your situation and my situation. There wasn't like a very super clear reason to leave. Like it wasn't something negative necessarily, that like overly negative that they were doing. Is more like an alignment within yourself that was happening.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Um, it feels safer to stay, but I realized that actually if you think long
right.
term, it's not safe because it makes you feel uh misaligned and it makes you feel unfulfilled.
Right. I think, and that's the negotiation. And it's like I have this conversation with my clients in a lot of different ways. It's like, especially with any big changes or any courage that you need to, like, any courageous leap of faith that you need to make, there's going to be this moment where you're going to be in the limbo phase where you're like, do I stay in this one place where it feels really safe and known, or do I take the kind of leap of faith that's like really on my heart? I do think there's some time to get clear on is it one or the other, but like at some point you really do know. I feel like you know what you want to do because I can remember being in therapy and like knowing what I wanted. Just the only reason it was hard to make the decision was that it felt so unknown. Like it just felt scary. That was the part that was like most hard about it for me. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I was just like Yeah, those thoughts we were talking about earlier, but like, what if I don't find anybody else? What if like
Um,
this is too good to be true? Like, it's too good to be true to want all these other things and stuff like that. So at some point, you have to like, the point I'm getting to here is like, you can be in limbo for a long time, but I think if it's something that you really want, you'll notice that it keeps coming up for you for a long time. For me, I spent like over a year in limbo and in therapy, like, and then there was one thing that somebody said to me, and it sounded like there was something somebody said to you too that kind of clicked it for me. And for me, it was like, there's no right or wrong choice, just the choice you go all in on. That's something my therapist said to me because I was kind of navigating also this like moral dilemma of it because then mine was a divorce, not necessarily a breakup. And I was like, I know exactly. I like gave me the permission to do what I needed to do.
mhm.
You sounded like you had kind of a similar moment with your friend.
Yeah, yeah. The word permission is a good one. She
Yeah,
gave me permission to want what I wanted. This
right.
is what I see so often with my clients, and especially with women, is they're gonna take what they can get. They want to be kind to everyone. They want to, be a good person.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you you have to get clear on what it is that you want and find ways to own that.
Yeah.
Because owning what you want is the only way you're going to create a life that feels true to you, in which you feel truly joyful.
Right. And then when you make that decision, like there's no doubt, like, and you can talk about this in a second, like, but afterwards it is hard. It is scary navigating the unknown at first and like figuring it out because you're a little bit like free falling after being anchored in, especially in terms of relationships, but any big decision, like I have a client thinking about maybe leaving a stable career. It's the same kind of thing and doing something different. It's like there is that moment of where you're like, "Oh my gosh, like everything feels wild right now." But, at least like you're headed in the right direction and I think things eventually start like falling into place for you as you're doing that discovery.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
navigating like uncertain seas.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a tough period afterwards,
Yeah.
but this is going to build your resilience and it's going to bring you somewhere that's more true to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Um, I talk a lot about all of this in three of my podcast episodes that I
Yeah.
would love to recommend if
Yes,
anyone's
recommend them.
situation. My podcast is called Self Growth Nerds, and the first episode I recorded about this is episode 115, deconstructing the decision to break up. So this is going to help you make your decision. And then episode 124 and 125 is the 10 emotional stages that you go through in a breakup and how to cope. So this is going to help you prepare mentally about what's to come and show you that you can actually survive this. And then finally,
Yes.
the last one is 161, surviving separation. And
Mm.
I recorded this one year later, reflecting about what that year was like and why I was so glad that I had the courage to leave.
Yeah, I love that. I will also link those in the show notes for anybody who's listening. So if you want to find an easy, clickable link, we'll have that in there. So maybe like give us a quick rundown of what it looked like, what life looked like a little bit post breakup after you make that leap of faith. What was that like? And like how you got back into dating and will end up leading into your next partnership. Give us a
Yes.
little rundown.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, it's gonna take me months to recover. I'm not gonna date anyone for months. But then one day, I woke up and I felt like the intuitive nudge to download a dating app.
Mm,
So I just did. You just trust yourself that you're gonna know when it's time.
yeah.
And I wanted to explore my sexuality. I was wondering if I was bisexual. And so I was like, okay, let me download the app Field, which is for anyone who's LGBTQ or kinky. And I downloaded that app and I just started going on different kinds of dates and explored. Did a
Yeah.
lot of exploration that year. I was obsessed with like everything that I was discovering about
Yes.
myself and what I really liked.
I remember hearing a lot of your stories that year. That was like a fun time.
It was like the focus of my life. I didn't care about work for a while. I was like,
Right.
this is what I do. It was like a whole new world for me.
Yes.
Um, and then I met my partner like about a year later
Yeah.
on a dating app. I had been really clear in my profile that I wanted someone who was adventurous and also someone who wanted to explore non-monogamy with me.
Mhm.
And I think I was really specific as to what I wanted. And
Yeah.
so I
Which
attracted,
probably helped that you had the year to explore because you got really
yes,
clear more on like what you wanted in
yes.
that. Yeah.
Then I made a list. There was like 12 things on my list of what I wanted, my non-negotiables in a partner.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, as long as they tick nine of these 12 boxes, I'm good. So I would go on dates and afterwards I would like reflect on that. And then the person I'm with now ticks all 12 boxes.
That's great. I mean,
So
like, yeah, maybe tell me a little bit more your thoughts on that because I know I have some thoughts on like I try not to have a ton of like expectations of other people. Like I have like like some core non-negotiables and values that are really important to me, but like other things are like simple. So maybe you can give readers some insight
yes.
into like what that was like for you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's different kinds of lists, right?
Yeah.
There's people who make lists expecting perfection, but for
Yeah.
me, it was a list of my core values, what I was
Okay.
not willing to compromise on anymore. I
Yeah.
wanted some, like what I was sharing earlier, someone who can have deep conversation, someone who's, I remember writing someone who's purpose driven, because I'm
Mhm.
very purpose driven and I want
Yeah.
that in a partner.
Yeah.
So they're not like tiny details. They're really core life things.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
I love that. That's a great distinguisher because we were talking a little bit before we even started recording how like how some people, like a lot of people are navigating relationships because their partners aren't they want to do more adventurous things and their partners are not necessarily adventurous. And I think that does come down to like a core value a little bit because for me, when I entered a new relationship and eventually met Michael, like that was one of my core values. It was like, I don't care about a whole lot, but I really care that they like want to travel and be adventurous and do things outside, ideally like climbing and hiking and backpacking and all those things. Like that was
yes,
important to me, like one of the top things.
it was number two on my list. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I didn't care like their height, the color of their hair, any of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, being adventurous, being growth oriented, supporting
Mhm.
me in my projects.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like your list has to totally be like dependent on your own because I know me and you had this conversation too. I was like, "Oh, I could never, I think because of my personality type, I would not want to like have a business or like do business projects with my partner unless it was like very clear like you are working on this one specific thing and I am the boss of it or something." I wouldn't do that partnership well with a relationship, I don't think, because I just like that's my personality type. But you really like love the idea of that. And that was something that we had talked about originally.
Yeah, everyone's so different, and it's
Yeah.
about figuring out what is most important to you,
Yes.
owning that, talking about it, being proud of what you want, and then that may increases your chances of it
Uh,
definitely increased my chance of meeting
of meeting
someone
that
who,
person because you're
yeah,
clear on what you want. Yeah.
yeah.
I totally agree with that. Yes. Yeah, I feel the
Like
same way.
being a fan of The Office cannot be like your requirement for a partner. I see so many
Unless it was
people.
like a very strong value for you. Let's not like shame anybody who has a really strong love for The Office.
But I mean, because I see it so in so many profiles on dating apps.
Oh, yes.
And and I think, okay, there's so many fans of The Office. Maybe it's like a fun bonus, but is it really like a Okay, let's be open-minded. Let's be open-minded.
Maybe that just really helps you get clear on the people that weren't right for you. If you put something like that, you're like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
oh,
just I want people to know themselves also. That's
uh,
I wanted my partner to know themselves and to have complexity in their personality,
uh,
not just be someone who likes beer and, I don't know.
right.
I
I
just
remember
go
thinking this like
deeper.
on the like when I did Bumble BFF for like finding friends when I moved to Colorado. I remember being like there were so many profiles were just like I like brunch. Like that was
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Just
That's what
like
I mean.
I was like, "Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, I don't know. Like if you lead with I like brunch, like I am not sure this is gonna work out as a friendship."
A
Not
lot
that
of
I don't
people,
like brunch. Everyone likes brunch. I don't know a
that's
single
the
person who
problem.
doesn't like brunch.
Everyone likes brunch except the Grinch. And yeah,
Yeah, I get it. That's funny. So, okay, you met Sam through a dating app, right?
yeah.
Okay. And it sounded like, okay, what was his profile like? Did he lead with like some of the qualities? Like, I'm curious now.
Oh yeah. I
Side
don't
quest.
remember well. I figured he was emotionally intelligent because there was like something talking about empathy,
Mm,
and his job was creative. There was him playing guitar. There was him cycling, doing like a
okay. So
bike
you got
packing trip.
adventurous vibes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Adventurous vibes, but I could see also that there was depth in the
Yes.
way he answered the questions. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and you guys kind of like, I remember when you first started seeing him, I don't know, it felt like pretty, like you knew pretty quickly, like you were interested in like locking in with, him. I mean, you
Oh
guys are
yeah.
non-monogamous, but like in your own like defined way, like a way that suits you both. Um,
Hmm. Yeah,
maybe,
we knew really quickly. We both had long relationships before this one, so we were pretty clear on what we needed to feel good moving
yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, it went really fast.
So tell me, like, one thing that really surprised me that you told me when we talked a couple weeks ago is that, so I'm kind of segueing now, like, into the Lofoten trip, but you had told me, I knew that Sam was pretty adventurous. Sam's her partner, if I hadn't mentioned his name. But you had met, I knew that you guys were pretty adventurous. You guys went camping a lot. Like you guys always were going on camping trips together. You did a lot of cycling together. Sometimes you went rock climbing, it sounded like. Some like little random things
Yeah.
here and there throughout. So I knew his adventures and I think I kind of just assumed that he like was also a backpacker, like he had been backpacking, but you told me a couple weeks ago that this trip that you two went on was actually his very first backpacking trip too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it was his first one.
I was like, wow, that was brave, Marie, like taking taking somebody on their first backpacking trip as a through hike. But like, tell me a little bit about that. Was he just immediately stoked when you guys Okay, maybe let's okay. I'm trying to think about like how to enter this because I have so many
Too many
questions I want to
questions.
ask. Okay, first I'm gonna like we're transitioning y'all into Lofoten through hike. We've talked a little about relationship, but obviously it's gonna keep coming up here.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a pin into these Sam questions because I have more, but I do want to give the listeners, I almost said readers. I do want to give the readers, I do want to give the listeners a little bit of background on this through hike. So, Marie, and you jump in, Marie, if I'm ever saying any of these stats wrong, but Marie went to do the Lofoten, the long crossing through hike. So it's called the long crossing. It's in Lofoten. And it's a through hike because of how many miles it is. It's several days in a row. Um, for those of you who are not familiar, this is off the coast of the northern Norway in Arctic Circle. It's like this combo of fjords and windswept beaches and peaks and picturesque postcard villages and all of those wonderful things we think of when we think of Norway. And the hiking route itself goes through like this heart of the island chain that's like out there. And it's around 160 kilometers, which is roughly 99 miles. I have written in my notes that it's like roughly a total of 30,000 feet. I'm rounding down here, 30,000 feet of elevation gain, which actually surprised me because I was looking at the highest elevation along this trail is only 3,000, like 400 feet, which is crazy that you must have been going up and down, up and down, and up and down a lot to get 30,000 on your hike.
There
Uh,
is no switchbacks there. Like
there's no
switchbacks
switchbacks.
don't exist. They don't know what they are.
That sounds like what my clients from like the Midwest and the East say. They're like, "Wow, the Sierras have lots of switchbacks," and I'm like, we don't have those out there." Okay, so that's a little bit of debrief of like what it is. I want to back up and like ask like what inspired you to want to hike this in the first place? Also, was it like you who thought of it first? Did Sam mention it first? Also curious about Sam's impressions. So
Hmm.
let's start there.
A friend of mine went to Norway. She fell in love, and I was like, I want to go,
She
but
fell in love or fell in love in Norway
no, she fell in love
or
with the
with Norway?
country,
Oh,
with the
okay.
country.
Okay, okay.
And I was like, I want to go, but I feel like I'm only going to have the budget for Norway when I'm like 50 years old.
Yeah, it is a
And
more expensive place to
'cause-
live or
yeah,
out.
it's an expensive place. So I started researching and I was like, maybe there's a way to visit Norway that's cheaper. And
Hmm.
that's when I found the through hike because
Hmm.
there's a law in Norway, right to roam, where you can camp anywhere.
Hmm.
And all the national parks are free. You can camp anywhere for free. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, and we went there for 3 weeks and just camped most of the time, which saves a lot of money because
Yeah.
accommodation is what's most expensive. So it was from a desire to see Norway and to save money doing so.
Yeah.
That led my search to this hike. And when I saw the pictures, I was like, wow, this sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
Sam was just up for it.
I love it. Great. Yeah, because I mean, it's been a while since you've done the PCT, and I remember like we talked about this on the last episode. You kind of like lost your interest in doing like a lot of backpacking trips for a while. You were just like, did the PCT, and you're like, I'm satisfied and I'm focusing on other things. Whereas like, some people like they do one through hike and then they're like, I'm triple crowning everything and like getting on all the different through hikes. But so I thought it was interesting when you told me this summer that you were like, I'm gonna do the long crossing. It's a through hike in Norway. And I was like, it felt random, like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know why the spark just came back
Yeah, I
for
love
some
that when that
reason.
happens though. It's like sometimes there's like one thing you hear somebody mention something, and for whatever reason, it just like stays in your psyche or in your heart, and it's like, go do this. Like it'll be a blast. Like something's calling you to it.
Hmm.
I have felt really similarly about certain things. Kind of like
Exactly.
the West Highland Way when Michael and I went to Scotland a couple of years ago. I was like, I have to come back and do this. Like, I really want to do it. So I'm doing it this year. Uh,
Amazing.
yeah, so I totally get that. So Sam didn't have any hesitations then, even though it was his first backpacking trip.
He was up for it. I think his main motivation was, of course, to see Norway, but
Yeah.
he was like, "This is going to motivate me to to train in the lead up to it. I'm gonna get back into shape."
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Yeah, I think setting like a big trip is always such a great motivation to like really show up for yourself and your goals and training and all of those things.
You know what? That didn't work for us. We ended up like starting the trip, and personally was terrified in the few weeks before because none of us had trained.
Oh, okay.
Like we saw the trip coming, but there was some, I don't know, laziness, resistance,
Yeah.
and we didn't do much of anything.
Well, I'm also sure on your behalf, like you done the PCT, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of just knew you could do it. Like there is there's a possibility that unlocks after you do. I talk to my clients about this all the time. Not that I don't recommend training for hard things, but like there is a point you reach where you know what you can do, even kind of off the couch.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was totally different with the PCT. I was training like crazy because I was
Yeah.
afraid that it was going to be too difficult.
Yeah.
But you're right. I knew I was probably going to be okay. And
Yeah.
so,
You're like,
yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. But what's been great is since we came back, we're both training a lot. We
Hmm.
got into shape on the trail and coming
Yeah.
back, we were like, let's stay healthy, let's stay moving, and it's motivated us on the return home.
That's so interesting because I feel like most of my clients they do really well with like that kind of future goal like working towards and showing up for it, but then they struggle with the like after part where it's like, "Oh, I want to keep this momentum going," but they don't have like that's why I'm like, "Well, you got to keep setting trips that are exciting for you so you kind of keep feeling motivated." But it's interesting that you guys have found like the reverse effect. Do you have anything else planned like right now in the future that's sort of driving you or
Well, there's two things. First, it's like, oh, feeling so good in your body. I'm
yeah.
like, I want to hold on to this.
Yeah.
And second, well, I signed up for Survivor, so I
Oh,
haven't
yes.
heard back yet.
Plot
But
twist.
I always think about this. I'm like, if they call me back,
I'm
I
gonna be ready.
I'm gonna be ready. Like, yeah.
Yes.
So this helps for
Okay.
sure.
That's great. We kind of like segued to like the end of your trip already, but we're gonna go back. Tell
Of
me
course.
how many days did you do the through hike in?
And
Again, y'all, 100 miles roughly.
we skipped the first two peaks.
Yeah.
So we did a total of 93 miles.
Okay.
And it took us 12 days. So
12 days. Nice.
we took it easy.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that.
I loved that. Um, we didn't want to rush,
Yeah.
because you're in the north of Norway and there's ferries and buses, and sometimes there's like one ferry during the day. So you can't be in a rush, otherwise you're just gonna get frustrated at what it's like to be in the middle of nowhere with very
Yeah.
little. Yeah,
Did you guys go in with a really kind of like specific plan, or did you just say, like, let's see how we feel each day?
we did. I had made a plan of how many miles we were supposed to hike every day.
Yeah.
But it got complicated from the start because the you have a choice. You get to start from the south and go north, or start from the north and go south. And we chose to start in the north. So where the ferry arrives in the north, you have to either hitchhike or take a bus to the start of the trail, but the bus
Mhm.
only passes once a day. So it was complicated. It was going to add extra time just waiting for the bus. So we just decided to start from where the ferry arrives.
Okay.
And and yeah, so we had to adjust the plan I'd made on day one.
Yeah.
We didn't
Okay.
have
Yeah.
to, but my
But you just
partner
made it decided to.
yeah, my partner is not as like ego driven and as competitive as I am. So he
Yeah.
was like, Marie, why don't we just start from here? It's gonna give us it's gonna loosen the plan. We're gonna be able to take breaks, and like if we walk across like a cute little village, we'll be able to stop and enjoy it. And I was like, He said to me, we're
I was
on
gonna say, what
vacation.
did you think about that?
At first, I was resistant. I was like, no, we got to do it the way I'd planned it. But then I was like, he's right. We're on vacation. We're meant to enjoy ourselves. And it would be nice to also like enjoy the little bakeries and the little places that we're going to see.
Yeah, totally. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so now like looking back on it, did you like that you did that, or
Oh, yes.
would you approach it the same way if you went back again?
Oh, 100%. That
Yeah.
was a game changer because then we would meet other people on the trail. Like there was a lot of other couples on the
Hmm.
trail, and sometimes they were like, "Oh, we've been hiking for hours and we're tired, but you gotta get the miles in and you gotta make progress and you gotta." And I'm thinking, but why? Like,
Yeah. Well, I always think like when it comes to a through hike, I think it's really good to like know what kind of trip you want to have because I do think there are times and places for like pushing yourself if you really if that's like really what you want. Like and there have been times where I'm like I want or I only have this amount of time and I would love to see as much as this as I can. But in the same step, like I also really think it's fun to like you might approach a trip for example, I'm like rambling, but I think about if I ever went to do the PCT, if I were ever to do the whole thing, it really wouldn't be about doing the whole PCT for me. For me, it would be more about like where would it take, like what like weird experiences would I get to have? What new people would I like connect with? Like I would let it like throw me for like whimsies and like be like, oh, I met this new friend and that led me, they invited me to their peach orchard and like, I don't know, in this section. So we're skipping this section of the PCT. Like I would just be like more interested in the like
Yeah.
relationship connection part of it. But there are some trips where I'm like, oh, I would just be real, I'm really stoked on the challenge of,
Yeah, and that
yeah,
was me on the PCT. Like if
yeah,
someone told me about skipping a section, I was like, no, there's no way. Like the goal
right.
was different. The goal was to show myself what I was capable of. And it also depends like on how remote you are. If you're
Yeah.
doing like a 9 day section with no way to resupply, well, you have to do it, if
You
you have
do
nine,
have to be more regimented sometimes.
exactly. If you have 9 days of food, you have to do it in 9 days or like
Or like
ideally.
even 9 days of food is a lot. So it's like you might want to
Yeah,
consider doing it in 6 days, because it's like 9 days is a lot to carry, especially if you have a bear can or something like that. So
exactly. Yeah,
sometimes logistics do like play into like
exactly.
the
Yeah.
hardness of it. But it sounded like this Lofoten, the long crossing was more like you were in between towns a lot. Is that true?
Yes, there was lots of little villages, little fishing villages.
Yeah.
Um, so it was easy. We always carried like 4 days of food, but
That's what I
usually,
was going to ask you. I was like, did you resupply like in a technical sense, or did you just carry like a certain number of days of food with you and then just picked up things along the way?
yeah, we just picked up things along the way. Usually we could when you're in the north, there's less villages, but the souther you what's the word? The southest you
Or
get,
south you go.
the more south you go. Thank you. The more people there are, the more populated it is, the more villages there is, so it gets
Oh, nice.
easier and like yeah, so you never have to carry more than 4 days of food. Even 4 days was always plenty.
Yeah. That's nice. What kind of foods did you guys eat? Like what was your like, because I don't know, when you think of like a through hike in the States, you think back traditional backpacking food, but I'm thinking about my upcoming West Highland Way through hike. It's totally different. I'm staying in like hotels. I'm not backpacking at all. I'm just like hiking hotel to bed and breakfast to little pubs to like whatever. So my food game is going to be like little like breads and cheeses and like then eating at a pub in the evening. What was it like for you at the Lofoten
So
trail?
fun. It was honestly very similar to when I was on the PCT. We would
Okay.
get backpacking food, like
Okay.
dehydrated backpacking
So
meals.
you did more like traditional backpacking foods then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Did you
And we
guys
would
eat in towns and stuff?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes. But yeah, we would always have like what do you call it? Like meat, like not a wheat jerky,
Mommy,
salami, yeah,
I love a
dried
backcountry
dried
charcuterie.
fruit, granola, all of
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
So did you find it pretty easy to get the foods that you needed there? Because you didn't come over with
Oh yeah.
anything, did you?
I mean, I was reading the description of this trip online on
Yeah.
the Lofoten website, and clearly it's not been updated for many years because the place has adapted to
Okay.
lots of adventurers. Lots of people go cycling there, like long cycling trips, hikers. So there's lots and lots of food for backpackers
Yeah, awesome.
everywhere. So,
So you
and there's
guys just got everything when you got there.
we no, I'd planned the first 4 days of food. I'd brought them from home so
Okay.
that we would save money. But then after that, it was really easy. There was food everywhere, and there was also like small outdoor gear stores.
Yeah.
If there's anything, uh, you're not in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. And you found it pretty easy to get things like fuel, because I know like
Yeah,
that's something you can't fly with.
yeah, yeah. It was super easy.
What about like this actually is reminds me of a question people might ask. It's like, how did you find traveling with all of your backpacking gear? over there to Norway? Like,
It,
did you have any issues with that?
it was I was stressed because like
Yeah.
my backpack with everything in it is like my baby, but
Yeah.
it ended up being really easy. What
Yeah.
we did is we just wrapped it to go there. We wrapped it in like two garbage bags and taped taped it so it was
Yeah.
like two little sausages.
Yeah.
And they were completely fine when we got there. And then, we had to take another small plane to get to the north of Norway, and we didn't have the garbage bags anymore, but we just like clipped all the clips and made it so that there was not a bunch of
Loose stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And on the way back, we had the brilliant
I was
idea.
like, nobody can probably see your hands in the podcast, but she
Oh,
was like waving her hands around.
loose stuffs around the backpack. And then on the way back, we had the brilliant idea to just put the rain cover on the backpack and
Yeah.
then some tape around that. And that
Yeah.
that worked great. Except that there was probably some bleach somewhere in the plane because there's like a big stain on my backpack now.
Mm.
Like a weird
Little memory of
bleach
Norway.
stain. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And I asked you this when we talked a couple weeks ago, but I was curious, did you make any really big updates to your gear from the PCT, or did you have a lot of the same things?
Mostly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly the same.
Anything that you were super thankful to have in Norway in particular that is like maybe different than what you would normally bring on a trip? I don't know. Or something that stood out to you. You're like, oh, I'm so glad we brought this to Norway.
Mm, mm. I was really glad to have my hiking poles.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of places where we had to hike across like a field of rocks,
Yeah.
or just sometimes the trail was almost vertical.
Yeah. You said that like
Um,
no switchbacks kind of straight up.
yeah, and like giant rocks, you're climbing giant rocks, and there was a lot of moment where we needed balance, like knife edges, in places like this. So I was happy to have my hiking poles to
Mm.
help with balance, for
Well,
sure.
tell me a little bit more about that because I have clients that always they'll get freaked out. They'll be like, "Is the exposure a lot? Like, is it really scary? Like, did when you say knife edges, what do you mean?"
There are places, yeah, where there is a drop. Like
But
there was
did it feel
one
comfortable or like really tight?
I felt comfortable. My
Yeah.
partner, not so much.
Okay.
He has a fear of heights, so there were times where he was scared. But I think it was doable,
Yeah.
100%. It's just you have to be careful where you put
Step.
where you step. Um, but yeah, I saw some people who didn't have hiking poles had huge backpacks, and I didn't feel safe for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so
Also,
go ahead.
GPS. Having like I had my InReach Mini that I was happy to have, and I
Yeah.
had a downloaded all the GPS tracks, and it was really useful because the trail is not really well marked. Sometimes there's like a little red painted dots and cairns. Is that how you say it?
Interesting.
Cairns?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Karen's.
But
So they
there's
use
no,
like red painted dots as trail markers sometimes out there.
yes, but it's really easy to lose the trail in some places. We lost the trail all the time. So having the GPS tracks was on both of our cell phones
Did you
was
have Gaia or what it were you using?
I was using an app that's a Garmin app, and my partner was using All Trails.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
We didn't have a paper map.
Um, when you said you decided to start in the north, this is like a question I was just thinking about. Was there a reason you chose going north to south versus south to north?
Mhm. Just because right before the trip we were visiting a friend of mine who lives in a little village in the north, so it made more sense to take a ferry from where she lived to the north of the Lofoten. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because I guess like logistics would have been kind of the same either way. It just depends on whether you want to do it before or after. Like, getting up there, you'd have to still come back down to the south. Or like maybe
Exactly.
explain that a little bit to us, like your logistics. Like you took a main plane from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Plane from Montreal to Munich, Munich to Oslo, and then from Oslo, a smaller plane to Bodo, I think they pronounce it.
Uh-huh.
And that's like the biggest city in the north of Norway. And then from there, there's a bunch of ferries. We took a ferry to my friend's place, and from her place, we took another ferry to the Lofoten. But
Okay.
basically, like the main center in the north is Bodo. And Bodo is on the mainland.
Hmm.
And that's where most people take a ferry straight to the south of the Lofoten. Um, so, when you're in the south of the Lofoten, you're closer to like this big city, well, medium city of Bodo and planes to go back to Oslo. So it
Yeah.
depends when you want to like I preferred to end there because then
Hmm.
you finish the trip and you can take a ferry, take the plane, and it's much easier. You're
Yeah, like
like
less ferries and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did
So
you
that
have to take ferries in the middle of your trip too?
yes, we did.
Was
Uh,
that pretty easy? Like you were saying you kind of went with the flow, so I'm assuming you really didn't get ferry tickets to most things until you were there and in the moment.
yeah, I mean, it was really helpful to have a SIM card, so that we could buy tickets for the ferries.
Like the day you knew you would be like
Yeah,
getting.
exactly. Because you never know when you're gonna get there. So
Mhm.
when you get there, being able to buy the ticket, and most of the time we were able to buy the ticket on the ferry when the
Yeah.
ferry arrives. There was one time where the ferry was full, so and we hadn't booked tickets. So I would recommend booking tickets ahead of time
Yeah.
just to be sure, because when that happened, they were like, "Well, you'll have to wait until tomorrow," and that sucks. We ended up finding like a taxi boat,
Oh,
some
okay.
a Norwegian woman like cord was going to the same place as we were with her friends, and so we hopped in with them in the taxi boat. But
Oh, that's
otherwise, it
fun.
would yeah, it was a fun adventure, but otherwise it would have been complicated. So yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah, walk me through like a day on the Lofoten Trail. Like, or the Long Crossing, I guess is what it's technically called. Was, run me through that. Like, where were you like typically camping? Like, when did you start your day? Like, yeah,
Yeah. So one thing to know that's really important is that in the north of Norway in the summer, there's no nighttime. The sun just is up always.
wow.
So if I would go back, I would bring a solar panel, like a small solar panel to charge my electronics because I hadn't realized that this was the best because the sun is out all the time.
Oh, interesting.
Um, so yeah, we made sure we would put our tent in a place where there was a bit of shade. Because we made the mistake on the first night where our
Yeah,
tent was just super exposed and it gets really hot in the middle of the night. So when you wake up, you're like,
you're like sweating.
yeah, going like through a heat stroke almost.
Yeah,
That's how I felt. So there's not a lot of trees because it's the north. It's the tundra, but you try to like make sure you're behind a rock or something like that, so you have shade in the morning. Uh, we would wake up, I think, around like 6:37, and have breakfast, have coffee, start hiking. We took a break. My partner wanted to take a nap after lunch. So he
every
would,
day.
yeah, well, yeah, because
Oh,
it was really hot.
yeah,
Usually
that's
it's not.
cute.
It's supposed to be pretty cold up there in the summer, but we were there like in the one of the hottest weeks that they've
Had in a
experienced
while.
this
Yeah.
season. Yeah, exactly. So my partner was like, after lunch, I take a nap, and so I would read my book, and,
Okay.
and then we would keep hiking in the afternoon and stop anywhere between like 4 and 6 p.m.
Yeah.
whenever we found a nice spot, a nice spot to set up camp.
Was it kind of like the Sierras where you can kind of just wild camp pretty much anywhere?
Hmm.
as long as it's like you're kind of following some like general kind of guidelines of like not being
Yes.
too close to water, the trail, or things like that.
Yes, exactly. And there are places where, it's just a bunch of rocks, so you have to keep going, but there's
Yeah.
plenty of spots. Most of our tent sites were gorgeous on the summit next to a lake with an amazing view. That was the
Nice.
best.
Was it pretty crowded?
No, I say I would run, we would run into like between 10 and 15 people.
Yeah.
10 and 15 hikers, except in the south, sometimes when we were closer to villages, there was lots of day hikers.
Okay, yeah, that makes
So yeah,
yeah.
there were days where we saw lots of people, but mostly day hikers. I
And
didn't
your campsites, were they pretty like other
know.
people around or typically by yourselves?
I would say half of the time by ourselves, and the other half there were other tents, but it didn't like people didn't really talk. We had a lot of distance between the tents. You
Yeah.
could see like the other tents in the distance, but it felt it felt like we were on our own.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
And it
Is
felt
there,
very different from the States. Like people on the trail don't really go into big conversations. They don't
oh,
talk together. They just say hi, but not
you mean
as
on in the Lofoten Trail, like they don't say hi or they do out there?
they don't.
Oh, they
It's
don't.
less social than hiking in the States.
Ah, yeah. Did you find that weird or like did you like that?
I found it weird at the beginning, and then I was like, well, that's just how it is. That's okay.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, like, was it a lot of like a good mix of people from like all over, or did it feel like a lot of locals doing it, or
Not locals, mostly Europeans.
yeah. Okay.
Mostly Europeans, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
Interesting.
like two Australians, two people from New Zealand, no one from the States. Yeah, mostly Europeans.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we tend to be quite social, I think, like in the States. Like, hey, nice day. Like, oh, great. Like
Yeah,
this is what this is coming up ahead of you, or look for this, or like, yeah. So there wasn't a lot of
exactly.
that between the through hikers going like south to north and north to south,
No, it was just like polite hellos.
or like
Short
head nods.
conversations sometimes, but like surprisingly quiet. Yeah.
Did you try to pick a conversation with anyone and it not go anywhere?
Yeah, I tried a few times and I was like, oh, I think this is not the vibe.
I had that happen like a couple times on the JMT, but not that much. Like you said, it's usually more people are like interested in talking, but we happened to go in 2020 when it was like pandemic, so sometimes people were not interested in talking back then because of all the
Mm.
COVID stuff going on. So I always thought it was funny when people like would turn away or like didn't want me to talk to them and I was
You
like,
can read the body language. Like it's read the room. The room says no chat, no
"Yes,
chatting.
I would know." And I was like, "I've been out here and only talking to my husband. Like talk to me." Like that's
Uh,
fun. Was there a reason you went in July? So was there a reason you picked July over other times of the year to go and do this?
um, it's just recommended.
Yeah.
It's not nicest time weather-wise. Because this place can be really rough. Like
Yeah.
really intense winds, a lot of rain. So July is when you have the most chance, the likelihood is higher that it's going to be sunny. And it
Yeah.
was insane. Like sometimes we would be on the summit of a mountain. There is no wind at all. It feels unreal. No wind, bright sunny, sheep around you, and
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And you
It felt
probably like see the ocean all the time.
all the time, lakes and ocean and
Yeah,
gigantic
Norway
like
is so
the,
epic like that.
the landscapes are the most epic I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've done the PCT, it's great. This place is like top.
Yeah.
And the mountains are really like aggressive. It's weird. They're not like nice little hills. They're really aggressive looking.
Yeah.
Feel like
Okay.
you're on a movie set. Like a dragon's just gonna show
Like
up.
come out of them. That's cool.
Yeah.
I remember like New Zealand kind of having like places like that where you were just like, wow, this feels. I mean, I guess New Zealand is like classic. terrain for, Lord of the Rings and stuff like
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Norway gives similar vibes to me when I think about
It
it.
does. It does.
Yeah.
We met a Kiwi, a couple from New Zealand, and we asked them what the difference is, and
Yeah.
there's more animals in New Zealand, no animals over there in
Yeah.
Lofoten,
Oh,
and
interesting. Oh,
there's
that's a great question too. It's like, yeah, did you have to worry about any
and
of
then I'll answer that question, but I just want to
that?
say the other difference with New Zealand is they said in New Zealand the mountains are like smaller and more friendly, whereas in Norway they're like,
Interesting.
like
That sounds fun.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as for the animals, I think there's like rabbits and sheep, but that's pretty much it because the rest of the year it's just really hard to survive, I think. So it's
hmm
just not a climate that's friendly for animals.
So did you have to do any like food best practices with storing your food at night or anything you were
No,
like being conscious of in that regard?
no,
Okay.
we just kept
I
going.
know like New Zealand's kind of like that too. I mean, like they have animals, but it's more like chill animals. It's less like scary, like bear safety and like
Mhm.
things like that.
And it's also it's a chain of islands,
Yeah.
so
So, okay, that leads me. Well, I had like two questions that were kind of like built on stuff we just talked about, but one of them that I wrote down is you said it was really hot for you. I'm really curious, like what kind of sleeping bag situation did you bring? Did you have a quilt or like was it too what degree was it? Like was it super warm?
um I know the degrees we use in Canada are not the same as the ones you
Well, tell
do.
me, I've got Google.
Mine was a pretty warm one. It was um we both had -10 sleeping bags.
Celsius.
Yeah. Mine was a sleeping bag and Sam had a quilt. Um, but it
That's
was,
like that's like oh, that's like a 15-degree bag then.
and I mean, we were super warm the whole
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say, was it like too much? But then you said it wasn't typical weather for that time of the year. So
Yeah, I mean, we would have been glad to have these if it'd been, but I always have a bag that's warmer than it needs to be.
yeah,
I
I know. I
really
prefer
love
that too. I hate being cold. So
Yeah,
I'd rather just like sleep on top of it if I have to, or left
exactly.
open, like if I need to. That's kind of how I am.
Exactly. That's what I've always done. I'm always scared of being cold, so I want an extra warm bag. Yeah,
Was it pretty rainy?
just one day. Actually 2 days, but the second day we were in a village, so we just hung out inside.
Nice.
So yeah, one day of intense rain. Um, and it can be pretty dangerous there. You have to, because when it rain, it can be also very foggy, and
Mm,
they have to do a lot of rescue every year because people go up in the mountains and then
they get lost.
the fog is so dense that they can't see their way
Mm,
forward. They get lost or they fall and die
oh, wow.
because there's, steep
Steep
cliffs.
rain, yeah.
They don't see them. So we were told if it's foggy, ask the locals, is this the kind of fog that's dangerous? But
Oh, interesting.
when we were there with the rain, it was really rainy, but it was not foggy. So we were fine.
That's interesting. That's good to know.
But it was rough because like we couldn't take breaks really because whenever we stopped, we would get really cold and
Oh,
wet.
okay.
We had to keep moving. That was
On the day that it rained, you're talking about.
yeah, and that's the day we did the most miles.
Yeah. Um, One other like kind of like just logistics question I think people would find interesting is how was the water situation? Like
Everywhere.
filtering. You could find it
Every
everywhere.
water everywhere.
Okay. So basically, don't worry, just bring a filter and you can find plenty of water. How much
Yeah.
water were you always carrying at a time?
I was always carrying 2 liters and
Mhm.
so was my partner, but honestly, we would have been always fine with one.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that's
just
good to know.
same thing. I like to be, what's the expression? Better safe than sorry.
hmm
So always 2 liters and we used drops.
Okay. Like
Pristine.
Aquamira?
No, Acromira was I used that on the PCT. This time was Pristine.
Okay.
Same thing. I love that. I love that. I don't want to have to mess with a filter.
I love a filter.
I know so many people do. Every time I see them, I'm like,
I
why?
hate waiting for the drops.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care. I like
I
the
bring
lazy
both. I
movement.
usually bring both though. Like, I mean, I usually tell my clients like water is your like one of your most essential safety items. So, if you're bringing a filter, filters can break. So it's always good to at least have something like
Mhm.
Aquamira or Pristine. I haven't looked up that one,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Um, Speaking of which, we had a inflatable mattress for couples. That was the
Oh,
best
nice.
because you can cuddle instead of like falling in the middle between the two mattresses. And one mistake that I thought we made is not forgetting to bring mattress patches. And one night the mattress deflated, and I was
Oh,
like, "Oh no." Um, the next day, I tried to find the hole. I couldn't find it. And turns out it was not broken. It was just that we didn't close the valve properly.
okay. That's good.
But I was like freaking out because I thought I forgot to bring the mattress patches. But in the end, I found them in the bottom of my bag. So we
Yeah.
were good. We were good. But make sure you bring your mattress patches.
Well, and it sounded like too some of the towns had little gear shops,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
and like uncomfortable maybe for a short period until maybe you
Exactly.
got a replacement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get showers along the way, like as you stopped in towns?
One.
Okay. Y'all were
You
stinky
can
and you
only.
still wanted to cuddle.
Yeah. Well, we swam. We swam in lakes
Oh,
almost every
yes.
day.
Okay, great. Cool.
Yeah, almost every day. Like we just got naked, got in a
I was gonna
lake.
say, did you skinny dip?
Yeah, almost every day. Never jumped into cold water as often as I did. Because the lakes are so beautiful. I've never seen water this clear. You can see to the bottom. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
So we just took advantage of that. Because the only way you can get a shower is if you have accommodation.
Yeah.
And the night we decided to book accommodation was because all of our stuff was wet.
Oh, okay.
And it was so expensive for like a bedroom in a shared basement was like $400 Canadian
Wow.
dollars
That's wild.
for a place that was like felt like a student
Yeah.
accommodation with shared showers and stuff. So really expensive. Yeah.
Do a lot of people do it where they stay in accommodations as they hike it, or do most people wild camp?
Oh, most people wild camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder why it's like so expensive. I mean, I know Norway is very expensive in general. Michael and I looked to do a van trip out there, like even renting a van compared to when we went to New Zealand in the past. We were like, wow, it's much more expensive to get a camper
Yeah, because
up there.
the accommodation is expensive because there's a lot of people and little places. Like
Yeah.
the villages are small, so they can't accommodate tons of tourists. That
Yeah.
But most people visit the Lofoten in a van, in a camper van.
Yeah, yeah. That's how we kind of thought we would do it. But I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like loving the idea of this trail too. It sounds really pretty. Um, okay. I know we're kind of like we've been talking for a while, so I want to kind of jump to like what was your most memorable moment out there on the trail?
Mm. Um, Most memorable was the morning we woke up above the clouds. You just we just got out of the tent and there were like just clouds all around us and we just started hiking. It was super quiet. There was no one else except sheep.
Oh,
It felt so peaceful and magical.
love
That
that.
was yeah, that was my best moment.
I can imagine that. That sounds really nice. I don't know, I always think it's fun to see sheep. I remember in New Zealand we saw sheep everywhere and it was just like you don't see that all the time here in the States. So it's like I know sheep are not like this like super novel thing, but it's just like they're so cute and like just doing their sheep thing. So
They're so cute.
yeah.
Yeah. And all
Okay,
the moments where when we swam in lakes,
you
I
loved
just
that too.
always, I just feel so alive when I do this.
Yes. Are you okay? Wait, oh, actually, I think this is one of my rapid fire questions, so we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Um, what what was your most challenging moment or maybe challenging day on the
Yeah.
trail?
Yeah. Like, you would expect me to say the rainy day, but it was just really funny. We kept making jokes, so I didn't feel, it was challenging, but challenging in a way where you feel like, yeah, I'm doing something hard. And
Yeah,
what most of the trail felt like, I was like, yeah, like my butt hurts, my leg hurts, I'm doing something hard,
but
and I
like in the
feel
best
like a
way.
badass. Yeah, so the trail was not challenging. It was getting there. I had so many negative thoughts on the way there, being
Mhm.
afraid I was not going to be able to do it, being just stressed about the tiniest details. And then
Yeah.
when I got there, I was like, everything's fine. I'm capable. I can figure anything out.
Yes.
I just as soon as I stepped in nature,
Yeah.
uh, my outlook changed. I was not as anxious as I was back in regular life.
Dude, that's so real though. I talk about this all the time with clients. I'm like the hardest part of like most trips is going to be getting to the trailhead. And like I term it pre-trip resistance is kind of like the term that I use with clients for their backpacking trips. Pre-trip resistance is so real. Like I did a whole podcast episode for anybody who's curious to like learn more. I don't remember which episode it is, but if you just look up like I think beware of this pre-trip resistance or something is like the title. I'll link it in the
Amazing.
show notes.
I
But
needed that. I needed that before.
but it's so true. You totally just talked about it here. How a lot of your anxieties, your worries, they're like trying to tell you to like not go do the thing. But then most people, like once they start, like they get there and they start, I mean, in your case, you went like you had to go very far to get there, but it's like you just you step into that self-trust piece and like taking it step by step, and it's a little less overwhelming, I find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was listening to an audiobook on the trail called The Comfort Crisis
Oh
by
my gosh,
Michael.
I saw you read that and I meant to ask you about it because
Yeah.
I've been wanting to read it because it just seems like it aligns with a lot of thoughts that I have about this stuff too.
Oh, you have to read it. Then you'll have so much knowledge to share with your clients. It's um, really relevant.
Yeah.
It's about
I
how like we need to challenge ourselves in order
right.
to feel good.
Feel alive. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says fear is something you feel before an experience most of
Hmm.
the time. When you're in the middle of it, it's different. Yeah, yeah, yes, there were moments that were hard, but yeah, it's the like consuming fear is happens before the big
Right.
chunk of it.
Yeah. Totally.
And the only thing I would add is don't trust the first day.
Oh,
The
for
first
sure.
day is the hardest.
Yeah. And you're still getting, I always think like I find my stride in, especially with like a long trip that is like, okay, this is like bigger than just a weekend or something. I find my stride in like day two or three, like
Yeah,
where I've my body is like, okay, like we get it. Like I'm settling into sleeping a little bit better and all of those things. You,
exactly.
yeah, you guys
I
didn't
f
have to deal with really altitude at all. Like
no, no.
that's nice.
The first day I was just achy and dehydrated.
Yeah.
Your body's like, "What are you making me do?" But then after a day and a half,
Yeah.
my body was like, "Yay, this is so fun. I
This
missed
is
it."
great.
So yeah, the first day is probably gonna suck, but then it gets so much better. I was really sad when we met a couple who said they had backpacks. So I asked them, like we met them in front of the grocery store.
Hmm.
I asked them what they were up to, and they said, "Oh, we tried to do the through hike, but we just quit after one day because it was too hard."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Instead
"Well,
of maybe just adjusting their through hike.
exactly." Or sometimes I think people don't have the right expectations beforehand.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I just did a post all about that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw it. Like I said, I never go into a backpacking trip expecting it to be easy. I put it on my Instagram post. Like that's
Yeah.
just like not the expectation I ever go in with.
No, they were like, "Oh, quit after one day because backpacks are heavy. Our body hurts." I'm like, "Of course, yeah, of
Like,
course your body's gonna hurt. Of course it's gonna be difficult.
yeah,
It's not a walk in the park,
yeah.
literally."
Like if you go in with that expectation, you're almost like signing you're wanting it's almost like you're trying to be entitled to like an easy trip. But I think when you go in not expecting it to be easy, then it's like a pleasant surprise with those like beautiful moments. You're like, "Oh, I felt like stronger than I expected today." And I felt like that was hard, but I'm like really proud of myself. And I actually this is getting released the week after this week's episode, which hasn't this is all meta because like now people are like hearing the schedule. But I have an episode coming out. It's today's Tuesday, the 27th of August. So that's tomorrow when me and Marie are talking. Um, about how to make uphills easier, but it's kind of like addressing this concept of like challenge and how and where it starts. It's how to make uphills easier without actually training to make uphills easier, like more
Yes.
like perspective towards it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I'm like on a steep uphill. I get grumpy, but then at the same time, I redirect my thoughts and I'm like, you're getting so strong. Like you can
right.
feel yourself getting so strong. And I'm, yes.
Yeah. It's so like sometimes it sounds silly talking about because you're like, it's literally, though it is the thoughts in your mind that make something easier or harder on yourself.
Hmm.
And, when you go to like on an adventure like the Lofoten Thru-Hike or any Thru-Hike or any backpacking adventure, like you're signing up for the literal word adventure. And adventure is like not entitled to easy. Like it will challenge you. It will be hard. It will have moments of self-doubt. Like that's kind of the point. Like that is part
Yes.
of the deal.
And I get really angry. Let me go on a little rant.
Okay.
About I see videos on Instagram, people saying there's too many tourists in Norway, and you see those like summits with tons of people on them. I spoke with a couple there who said that one of the most famous places in Norway, they had to wait an hour and a half to get a picture
Oh, wow.
on the
I think I know where you're talking about. It's
yeah,
like
it looks
that
like
classic like plank like
yeah, exactly. It's like
platform thing. Yeah.
exactly. It's like a rock that's like hanging
Yeah.
above the void. They waited in line for an hour and a half after hiking to get a picture there. And I'm thinking, guys, be creative. You don't have to go to the same places that everyone else is going.
Yeah,
Um,
or if you do, just like expect it to be busy and don't complain about it. Like, you can either do the work to go to the other places or just be like, yes, this is busy and I'm contributing to that. Like,
yeah, yeah. And of course, like not everyone is able to go to those most remote places, but
right.
I think it's interesting to go off the beaten path and try to
100%.
challenge yourself to go discover the places that are not like number one on the blog.
Yeah, and that's what backpacking I think really opens up for a lot of
Mhm.
people is like
Mhm.
you can go off the like very accessible paths. You're getting there in there deeper where a lot of people aren't willing to like go and do the work to and put in the work
Yeah.
to do it. So,
Exactly. And like not being scared to do something hard. That's what the book, The
yes.
Comfort Crisis, talks about, like all the benefits of doing something harder than you think you can do. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna make you more resilient. Yeah.
So, okay, kind of like, I mean, we could talk forever about this, but I guess before I ask this last question, one thing I did write down when you were talking is I have a lot of clients that like doing things solo, even. Like, I know you went with your partner, but I'm curious your thoughts on like, would this be like did you feel safe? Like, did you feel like this would be a great place to do a solo through hike, backpacking adventure? What are your thoughts on that?
So safe. Yeah. We met a 21-year-old girl from Belgium who was
Yeah.
doing thing on her own. She hitchhiked all the road walks, and she said she felt really good. The Norwegian people are just,
Super nice.
yeah, yeah. I
Cool.
mean, the police there has nothing to do. It's a very safe place.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured you would say, but I just thought like there probably is somebody listening to this like, oh, I'd love to do that, but like I don't really have anybody to go with, but I'd still love to go. And I'm like, I think doing a hike, I had a client who did the West Highland Way through hike as an international adventure and her first, backpacking trip too. They can be quite fun. I mean, it's definitely going to put you out of your comfort zone because
Yeah,
you're in a new country too, but it's like part of the adventure of all of it.
yeah.
Um,
And one thing I'll say is I can't speak to what it's like for people of color. I don't know
yeah,
the situation in Norway in terms of racism. So
yeah,
so that's
that's a good
that
note. Yeah,
yeah, that's one thing I would look into because I mean it's quite a white country, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, that's a good point. Um, okay, so now you have years of experience as a through hiker and a life coach. How has your approach to adventures evolved from your PCT through hike to your Lofoten hike? Have you noticed any like big differences?
Mm-hmm. I'm a lot less attached to things have to be a certain way.
Yeah.
I have more flexibility with my planning, but also flexibility when it comes to my emotions. Like
Yeah.
I accept changes more, and I'm not thinking like, oh, I have to be in a good mood every day. Like this is
Yes.
vacation, the landscape is beautiful. I have to be joyful every minute. No, like there's gonna be times when I'm grumpy, it's okay. There's gonna be times when I'm sad, it's okay.
Yes.
Um,
You're having the human experience even when you're on the
exactly.
trail.
Exactly. And being kind to myself, like
Yes.
it's okay, whatever happens. If it's rainy, not getting angry about the rain and like thinking you're entitled to a sunny vacation. It's like, oh,
Yes.
well, okay, let's make the most out of it. Let's make jokes and let's, you know,
Or
laugh
sometimes I'm just like, I settle into like, oh, I love a moody day on the trail. Like it's a totally
about
different like side of nature that you get to see, which is quite like fun in its own way. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it looks the same every day. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like yes for the rain, and also more curiosity, like um about myself. If I
Yeah.
get angry about something, if I'm bothered with something, I'm like, oh, I wonder why you're reacting this way. Like, what's going on, honey?
Yeah.
So more compassion, more lightheartedness, more curiosity instead of like being hard on myself and being stressed out about changes and attached to how things should be.
Yeah, I love that. I know we're like already at our time, but if you have a little bit more time, I did have a question on like if you had pre-thought at all about failure at all on this trail. Like, did you think about that beforehand, or if like what happened if, yeah, like things didn't go according to plan? I'm kind of curious. A lot of people get a lot of anxiety around the idea. This is that pre-trip resistance. Like, what if I can't do it?
Yeah.
And I try to really like encourage people regardless, like you're going to get so much out of it anyways. But I'm curious what your thoughts were around that approaching this adventure in particular.
Yeah, for sure. I did think about this a lot. What do we do if it's just too hard for us or for one of us?
Yeah.
And I was at peace with that. I think it's important to make peace with that scenario. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, we're just gonna find like a nice beach and camp there and read and swim all day.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the plan if hiking is too hard. Or
Yes.
we're because we knew we didn't want to be in a village where accommodation is really expensive, but because you can't camp you can camp anywhere. We were like, well, we'll just find a nice place that's close to a grocery store-ish and then chill there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And you could like do day hikes. I think that's like a really good,
Exactly.
like subtle point you made there. But like a lot of times we spend a lot of times ruminating on the questions. What if this happens? What if that happens? And we don't answer them. And I think answering them is like so key. It's like, okay, well, like, let me think through that worst case scenario. Like, how could you could think ahead of time? Like, how could I make the like,
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
case scenario out of a worst case scenario, you know? Like, and
Yeah.
reading on the beach, camping on the beach, day hiking, doing that in like Norway doesn't sound like a bad gig to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're so right. We spin in the what if scenarios instead of well, just sit down, you're resourceful, think about what you would do in this situation and make peace with it. Like it
Yeah,
might
make peace
happen.
with it.
You don't know. You might get hurt the first day. It might be too hard. Just make peace with this worst case scenario and that'll help.
Anything that you're nervous about, like try to make peace
Uh,
with, you know,
yeah.
like all those things you were talking about being nervous about, like what if I'm not ready? And what if, and so you did kind of with that one scenario. It's like, okay, well, if we're not ready
Hmm.
enough, then we'll do this thing instead and we'll have a great time still.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly.
I love that. Is there anything that we missed talking about that you feel like is super important, like for the context of this? I'm sure there's like you could go endless into like about this trip, but I wanted to just make sure there wasn't anything that you were like particularly wanting to say about this hike.
The only other thing I would do differently if I was to go again is to, we had a SIM card, but just with data, and I
Mm,
would want to be able to make phone calls.
okay.
That would make me feel safer to be able to make phone calls, so I would set that up next time.
Nice. Do you like what kind of plan do you have in Canada?
It's just for the province I'm in, I can just,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I
So,
know like when I travel internationally, I just pay like AT&T, you can pay $10 a day when you're traveling internationally, and it basically gives you the same service and data like that you have locally. So that's an option for people. But then yeah, some people have more like niche like phone plans and SIM card option is. Did you just
mhm.
pick that up at the airport or
No, I use an app that I love every time I traveled. It's called Air Allo. Air
Allo?
Yeah, Airalo, AIRALO, and you can buy like eSIM cards
Ah,
in any country that you visit. It's just you
oh,
can't,
cool.
yeah, and with most of them you can't make phone calls, but you have data. So
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Um, but there were moments where like calling a boat taxi, a taxi boat,
Mhm.
I was not able to do. Or, calling in Canada if something happens or calling
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
I'm curious, did you do any research on if you were able to use your InReach Mini in Norway before you went?
Yeah. What do you
Okay.
mean?
Like sometimes it's illegal actually in certain countries to like use that service. I think like India, don't hold me to that, listeners. I think, but I know that there's some places like they just consider like it not allowed to travel. So anybody just do your research, I'm sure.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know, but I read about people hiking in Norway having a Garmin, so
Okay,
I just assumed it was all right.
cool. Awesome. All right. Well, let's just end with some quick rapid fire questions and then we'll close out this episode. Marie, late night stargazing or alpine start sunrise?
Oh, I hate to get up early, so late night stargazing, but in Norway there was no stars because there was sun
Okay.
all the
So
time.
only alpine start sunrise or sunrise all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, what place is next on your like to go travel to or adventure at place?
Yeah. We would love to go to a hike in how do you pronounce it? Kazakhstan?
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Kazakhstan?
heard really great things.
Nice. Like any place in particular or like
I
just
don't know.
really there?
I've been reading on blogs about how there are really beautiful hikes to do there. So yeah, that would be on the bucket list eventually.
Cool. Okay. This goes back to your Alpine Lake dip scenario. I just remember we had this at a rapid fire question. So, are you a slow dipper or a fast dunker in an
Oh, I'm
Alpine lake?
slow.
I'm slow
I'm
too. What about
oh,
Sam?
I'm slow, but I'm getting better. I'm
Is
getting
Sam
better.
also slow?
No, he's like quick.
Dive
He
straight
just
in.
dives straight in. He's That's annoying. Same with the morning. He wakes up in the morning, he's just in a good mood. I'm like, I need like half an hour to become myself. Same thing.
I'm also, I wake up in the morning and I'm in a good mood. I'm like, good
Oh, lucky
morning.
you. Lucky you.
And I don't know, at least when I'm camping. But I'm a slow dipper in the Alpine Lake as well. It's hard to like get my brain, especially after you get like hips in, to like go any further. Like I struggle.
Mm.
Okay. At camp, what are you drinking? Hot chocolate, hot broth, something else.
Hot broth.
Hot broth. Did you bring broth
Mm.
with you?
I did. It was Thai coconut broth,
Was it
chicken
those
broth.
Millie tea packets?
Um, it was, I don't know what the brand was, I don't remember, but it was like a tea packet, but it
Yeah,
was, oh no, that's not true. It was powder. It
Oh,
was
okay.
powder. They were little packets of powder. Yeah.
Mm. I love like the Thai like broths. Those are my favorite.
So good.
And this one's specially for you because you're a bookworm. What is the best book you've read recently?
Well, I'm reading the book that you sent me for my birthday, which is really good, called
But
Wild.
definitely, it doesn't have to be your best one though, but I mean, is
Um,
it? Unless it is, but you haven't
I'm
finished it yet.
I haven't finished it yet, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Wild Dark Shore, and I'll tell you about two books because they're quite related. Um, I I'm reading Wild Dark Shore, which is like a family living on in a really remote place next
Yeah.
to Antarctica, and
Yeah.
so it makes me like
It's so
reminisce.
imagery, like it's like so moody.
Yes.
I love it.
But it's super connected to what where I've just been in
Yeah.
the north of Norway, so that's why I'm really happy to read about a story in that kind of setting. And I'm also reading a book called A Woman in the Polar Night.
Oh,
Um, it's
okay.
a memoir set in I think the 1920s or something,
Oh, wow.
or like maybe the 1950s. But it's a woman who spent a year in a cabin in Svalbard
Okay.
in the Arctic Circle, and she was like alone with two men. And she'd been like a housewife in Europe her whole life, and she just spends a year in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And so it's really cool.
Amazing. So wait, you finished that book or you're reading it?
I'm reading it.
Okay. But you
Yeah.
like it a lot.
I, I'm loving it. Yeah.
Okay, Marie, how can listeners find you, learn more about you, potentially work with you if they would like to learn more?
Yeah. Well, you can listen to my podcast, Self Growth Nerds. You can find me on Instagram at Self Growth Nerds. And if you love to journal, if you go to my website, selfgrowthnerds.com, you can do a free 2 week journaling challenge to help you get clear about what you want out of life. So we've talked about this a lot in this episode.
Mm.
And you're going to receive like a prompt in your inbox every morning for 2 weeks to reflect, to write and reflect about what you really want. So that's free. You can go do that just on the homepage at
Yeah.
selfgrowthnerds.com.
Yeah, her journaling prompts are great. You guys would love that. So I'll link all of those also in the show notes as well for people, so you can find them really quickly. But I want to thank you again, Marie. I always love, like, every time we talk, I'm like, we should just record this because this conversation is good. But then I usually end up following up with you and being like, you want to record a podcast? So it was so great to have you back again today, to talk all about your most recent through hike.
Yeah, thank you so much for nerding out with me about all the things once again.
Yes, of course. I'm sure we'll do it again. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. If you have questions about the Lofoten hike, actually, I know Marie would be more than happy to answer your questions on her Instagram. She also did post some resources and like thoughts and like little like diagrams and journals and like little drawings and stuff from their hikes, on her Instagram too. So you can find those things there as well. But thanks again, Marie, and we will see you guys next week. All right. Bye. Hey, I wanted to thank you real quick for tuning into the show and listening all the way to the end. If you love this episode and you want deeper support in becoming a safe, confident, and self-sufficient hiker and backpacker, then head over to shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist to learn more about our Backpacking Badass coaching program, where I teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be self-reliant on the trails and stop waiting around on others for the adventure invite. So I'd love to help you more in your journey of stepping into
into your adventurous identity. And that program is the absolute best place for us to start working together. So again, that's shedreamsaboutpine.com/waitlist. And you can learn all about it there. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you get to spend some time outside this week, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. Bye.